I told you guys that eventually you're going to get your hands on these. We are waiting for the software to get installed and everything to be ready for us to use. Initially, you're going to get your hands on it to tinker with it some and get a little more of a feel for actually using the software. But what I'm going to ask you to do is go through everything that we've gone through, and probably then some, because we've skipped around a little bit in the interest of time. We didn't go through every single item. But you're going to get a report when we actually put your name and password in here, and we're going to put you where you can do this quietly on your own. And we're going to expect to go through all 12 of these faults. And I wanted to show you what a report looks like. Obviously, the check marks mean I've done certain parts, I haven't done other parts. I've done at least one basic level fault. I skipped the guided fault, practice fault, and went straight to a skill test. So before we're all said and done, each of you should have a check mark on every item here. And you're going to have this part of the report, if I use the right mouse again, that shows something like this. This shows you where you are. This is the needle. Are you on the lower end, the upper end, somewhere in between? How did you do? And each one of these means different things. This means for fault one, the final time I did it, I was a success. The first two times I had an efficiency error, which could be time, but more likely troubleshot by shotgunning and replaced more than components needed. But it's going to keep pushing you until you get at least here. So you're going to end up being successful on every one of them, no matter how long it takes. And with the cross hatches like this, that just means you got a bonus. What that means is in the mind of the software, you completed the task very efficiently, very quickly, very accurately. Then you'll see things like the red diagonal lines going from top to bottom, top left, bottom right, had a safety error, had an accuracy error on the others, had an efficiency error on the others. These probably are efficiency errors. Let me tell you what happens. This is one thing you want to make sure you do. When you start troubleshooting per fault, and we're fixing to get into some faults, so remind me to do that, you can pause at one time. If you forget to log out, because I played with the software and went to lunch, computer booted me off and all that, or I got waylaid. Anyway, I stayed on the clock literally for hours on end, and it gave me some efficiency errors for that. So that probably is a true efficiency error now that I think about it. So you'll have both the basic level and the skill level. We're not looking for a particular setting. Whatever happens will happen. We'll probably find a way to consolidate this into something akin to a troubleshooting grade using some sort of rubric. How I'm going to do that just yet, I don't know, but may try to figure out 100 points and then deduct so many for any kind of errors you have, and then you, in addition, if you get an efficiency, add some bonus points for the efficiency side of things, but certainly not any that would be greater than making mistakes would take away from you, or obviously that'll encourage us just to be fast, not accurate. So anyway, or I may just leave it like this. I haven't really determined that yet. So you'll see this. Each of you will have that report in your login, but I wanted to show it to you so you can see exactly how it does track. So let's go back to troubleshoot, and we're going to start some troubleshooting. We're going to go through the basic and make sure when you do get in, you're on this basic side. Actually, I'm going to have to log out because I've already went through this one. And you can see it even gives me a pretty good line, but it gave me overall, even though I had some errors, it kept me on the above average part of things. So, errors don't mean unsuccessful. It just means part of the process. So let me log out and create another login here so that we can start anew. If they don't get our software running in here, I've only got 20 seats, which means we're going to have to share the software between the two. So probably what we'll do is on days some of you guys are actually doing the hands-on software. We'll be down there doing some hands-on with some other equipment, vice versa. Particularly when you're doing the one for the grades. That 52 ohms Wago is really the first anomaly I've seen with the software. I've thought a couple of other things where I was troubleshooting and it did some things a little contrary to what I first thought it was doing, were anomalies, but when I really studied them, it was right.
If you're reading voltage across that parallel, it would have read about 52 volts, right?
Because remember, voltage is the same. On the parallel, the voltage in the parallel circuit is the same. It's implied. Yeah. It's easy to get, that's why we practice. It's easy to cross these things up a little bit. You know, you got me one per. Now, while we're playing with it, we may be two per. We may let you. Oh, that's all right. That wasn't you. I'm typing on the wrong keyboard and wondering why it's coming out. But yeah, we'll probably let you just kind of work together on a few things to get the feel, just because that'll expedite the process. And then, but once you actually test, it'll be just you. Do a guided fault. What I was telling you a while ago is make sure when you get here you don't accidentally click on advanced, because what's going to happen is you're going into the much harder side of the software doing that way. All right, let's read what it says. Careful observations are a critical step in troubleshooting any fault. Often, observations can help rule out major portions of the circuit for the problem area, and sometimes can even provide enough information for you to solve the fault without taking a meter reading. A series of instructions will coach you through the process of finding and repairing this fault using this troubleshooting approach. On this fault, you do not worry about how much time. It is more important to understand the process and the technique. Now, we've got another trainer that you guys are going to get your hands on at some point after we finish motor controls. And I'll show you that one later, but it's a lot more involved. It's got a lot more stuff going on with it. And one of the things I love about it, you get a work order for all of it. And this work order just basically says on the right-hand side, your assignment to prepare the lighting circuit. But what I love about the other trainer is it randomizes those work orders, and those work orders may say everything from tank stop filling midway to system is not working. And that is a real world application of what you're going to get from operators on the shop floor. Sometimes you'll get specifics that aren't entirely accurate. They meant well. They're trying to give you what they thought happened. Other times you'll get specifics that are highly accurate, and other times you'll just get generalities. My favorite ones are don't worry. Take that a lot. So especially 5 minutes before break time.
I got one of those with there at Lake Bridge. The nurse in the nurse's station down there said that his light wouldn't work over his desk. And this is bad on my part, but I go down there and instead of trying the light first, I get up there with the meters and start checking the light. I spend about 30 minutes checking this fluorescent light fixture, can't find anything wrong. I go over here and flip the switch on and the light comes on. He never flipped the switch.
Oh, that was good.
The switch for that light was not with the other switches.
Ah, okay.
So I wasted 30 minutes of time troubleshooting something that wasn't nothing wrong with it.
Well, I was with my mom one time when I was about 14 years old, and she carried the car to the mechanic and told him, she said, hey, this thing's leaking oil. And he said, where at? She said, on the carport. And she meant well. I mean, where it was leaking oil, and that was really, we just moved it to a brand new house and we didn't want oil leaking on it. Okay, this section guides you step by step through the process, and we're gonna go through a systematic approach of here. We're gonna go through all these screens, and it's gonna tell us some things that we need to be taking in mind. And this is, for some of you, this is no-brainer stuff. If you're already kind of technically oriented, you're gonna be hearing some of the things that you may already utilize and know, but not everybody is. And there's always nuggets of wisdom for everybody in some of this stuff. So before using this section, make sure you got the circuit diagrams, the troubleshooting flow chart, and the troubleshooting worksheets. And I have not printed y'all this one, have I? I didn't think so. So give me about 3 minutes to get a print to that printer back there. And Callie, if you want to come on up here.
I didn't do it.
We'll just
Come
go.
up at the thing.
Okay, that is this one. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. We had 2 different lighting circuits. That's what I had. So a while ago when I was telling you you had the schematic, you didn't have the schematic.
Nah, well, my good one.
I should somewhere.
And this one orange one.
One of these and make a copy out there on the copy. I got it, never mind. I thought they had just that short version, but they've got this. I thought I was wrong, but I was mistaken. Oh, okay. All right. The first step in troubleshooting is to make accurate observations. Operate the lights from each of the stations. Does the lighting work properly? So what do we need to do to 100% ensure that this thing's working accurately?
Turn it on.
Okay, we'll turn it on. Nothing happens there. Nothing happens there. Nothing. Oh. Off works here, on works here, off works here, on works here, off works here, on works here. But on here or on here. So does the lighting work properly? No. No. We're all in one accord. So what we found was we could turn it on at station 3, PB3, but we couldn't turn it on PB1 or PB2. Okay, move on. Ah, hit the arrow. All right, I expected it to go to the next screen automatically. So, choose all the correct answers. Which of the push buttons do not work? PB1, PB1 does not work, PB2. We check, PB3 will turn it on, PB4 will turn it off, PB5 will turn it off, and PB6. So our problem seems to be related around those two. Does the relay ever pick up?
Yes.
Yep, there's the indicator. And by pick up, you can use the word engage, you can use various ones, but all that means is, are we getting a voltage across the coil and are the contacts switching states? So the answer is what?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, you have seen that when PB3 is pressed, the lights come on. When either PB1 or PB2 is pressed, the lights do not energize, and all the off push buttons work properly. So we've got a little more understanding than what we did. To define the problem, you need to have a copy of the schematic diagram. So let's bring that up. So here's what's happening. We press this guy, absolutely nothing happens. We press this guy, nothing happens. We press this one, the lights come on literally, and we can press any of these off buttons and the lights go off. So if we were to highlight on this diagram, we'd be highlighting the areas that could contain malfunction. So what does it look like? Which part, of the schematic would we be talking about? PB1 and PB2, right?
Yeah.
So somewhere in there seems to be where we're having something's happening. Right.
It was off.
So if we try to press that one to make it come on, nothing happens. Try to press that one. This one, it works. This off works. And this off works. So
So
we
it
go.
seems like it'd be like
PB1 and PB2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not PB4,
5%.
5 or 6, just PB1 and PB2. So somewhere in that region. Could the supply portion of the circuit be the problem area?
Because if that was the case,
PB3 works, and power.
All right. That's what it's talking about. Can that be our problem area?
No.
No. If we're getting power even through PB3, we're getting power. So we don't have a supply issue. Could the output section, that section there, be a problem? Because they're coming
those
on.
lights are working.
So what we know is it's not up here, it's not down here, so we've already cut a good bit out of our circuit. Excuse me. Could the portion of the circuit containing the relay, R1 coil, and off push buttons be the problem area?
No.
That wouldn't operate otherwise, because we're getting a connection when we press PB3, which has to go through all this, so that can't be a problem. Could the portion of the circuit containing the on push buttons be within the problem area?
Well, it could be, within that area, but we
Yeah.
have to eliminate it.
Right, yeah. So 3 is obviously seemingly working, but PB1 and 2, so yeah, I'd say yes, it can be. All right. You had defined the problem area to be in the area of the circuit containing the on buttons as shown by the view diagram. So let's go back and look at that. So we're thinking we need to be shopping in here somewhere for our problem. And what happened? Here we go. The next step is to determine all the possible causes within the defined problem area. Be sure to document this on your worksheets. I have those, and I'm gonna pass them around to you. If y'all will, I'm just gonna pass these one sheet at a time. Just go ahead and let them all hit the back of the area, back there. And I'll gather up the remains. You'll have 3 sheets.
They're all the same thing, right?
Yes, all those are the same, so let them go all the way around. They can come right back up here, see, I can pass them that way, back up, and
Sitting in the road?
back to me.
Yeah, okay.
Same with this one. And these are numbered. Now, you'll honestly get to where you troubleshoot without need of this right here, but this is just a good guide to have. We'll wait for those to get around.
Stand up in the middle of the road, and I'm trying to go home. I'm gonna treat you like a clown and run yours.
These are Canadian immigration site. I swear to God, the Canadian immigration site crashed last night. That was the time to buy some stuff. I don't understand why that should be the one
Yeah,
thing
it's like
that they're complimenting. Seeing as he is a businessman.
got run over. And they can't understand why.
You walk down the middle of the freeway.
Josh.
He is, I don't think he's a sayer, yes, he's. No, I don't
What's that for?
He isn't a situation.
I'm saying, there's 3 different sheets going around, take one of each.
You wouldn't use this?
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, 3 different sheets going around, should have one that says phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
Yeah, that's what they say on the go. Have a little silly Lily running around the east wing again. Oh, the doors of the east wing open, a bunch of smoke puffs out. White House. I was standing by the pole, like,
So, what we want to be able to do is exactly what this sheet says. And again, this is one of those things that may come pretty much natural to each and every one of you, or it may be that you need to kind of think about this in these terms. I don't know. It comes natural when you go to the shop and take your car, right? When you go to the shop and take your car and you say, hey man, this thing's shifting a little funny. And you go in there and they say, well, we'll put 4 new tires on it. Okay, so that helped my shifting problem? No, but your tires were a little low, so we just got some new tires anyway. We don't want our cars done like that, right? We want the problem identified, logically traced down, and repaired at the lowest possible cost to our pocketbooks, basically. And a perfect example of that is recent time, and every once in a while you luck out and have something that you think is pretty much a devastating issue with a vehicle. Stepson's got a Dodge, which is his first mistake. Dakota pickup truck, and he said it's shifting funny. And sure enough, I don't have as much of a lead foot as a 17-year-old does, but I thought it was shifting fine. But I did finally notice that once I was waiting to go in third, I had to let off the gas a little bit. If you just held the gas and remained in second, and let off and it changed right away. And got doing a little digging, Google, and read one of the things that can cause that is transmission position sensor underneath the thing can not communicate and not work, and the other option was a $2,000 transmission rebuild. And likely, not every shop is honest, but I don't know much about Statesboro. Likely, I'd have probably been lucky enough to pick the guy that would have put a $2,000 transmission in it. I still would have had the problem. But reading about this little sensor, $17.99 in AutoZone, and you can get a discount on it if you get a retail tonight and buy it online. So I paid like $12 for the part. Got one connector on it and a 1-inch nut on it. Popped it up on ramps. Took longer to put on the ramps. It didn't change this thing out, shifting like new money. So I would much rather start with that $17.99 part than that $1,700 transmission. Same thing needs to happen here. Of course, if it needs a transmission, it needs a transmission. So I'm not saying just because something's expensive, we should replace it. We just need to be sure that it is what it is before we go doing this kind of thing. So this takes us through some logical things. Observe, identify, observe, define, identify, test. And that's really what we're doing. We observed, we figured out what was going on, we defined the problem area, and now we're about to get into the identify phase. Now looking at this schematic that we've got here, it's not much help other than I could have some kind of open that goes to both PB1 and PB2, wouldn't go to PB3, but I can't tell that from the schematic. So the next thing it suggests is, let's pop out the wiring diagram. So, we We know it's an issue potentially with line voltage getting there. So if we can come over here, and it's a little hard to do with the mouse on the screen, but here is the feed to PB1. So it's let's see what's coming out of here. We've got coming out of the fuse. I don't know if I lost it there. But it looks like out of the fuse over here in the PB1, out of PB1, in the PB2, out of PB2, in the PB3. So just kind of a daisy chain there. So let's see what it tells us next. So, which of the following could be a possible cause for the fault? Open wire PB1 2 to PB2 2.
Yes.
No,
So-
cause they all, the wires connected to 3 to 2.
Yeah, this goes on over to
The
3.
connected to 1.
So you don't think it's that one? All right.
I don't think so.
Let's see. Open wire PB2 2 to PB3 2. Okay. Open wire PB3 2
No.
No.
to PB6 4, so not there, is it? PB1 and PB2 defect.
Possibility.
It's a possibility. Both switches going bad at exactly the same time.
No, no.
Be pretty rare, but yeah, it's a possibility. Open wire from R1 3 to PB6 4. PB3 is shorted closed. Alright? Let's see what it says. There's at least one more correct answer.
I would say open wire PB1 to PB2.
Alright, let's follow that. PB1 2, which is right here, PB2 2. So let's see if we can logically make that work with PB3 still working. So the question is, we know we have to have line coming, I wish I could draw on this board, coming to here in order for the lights to work, right?
Right.
So let's see if we can follow it back. I'm just gonna follow it this way.
Yeah, cause it doesn't go to 2.
And then that one,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just 2 get power.
yeah, they still get power stack.
So open wire PB1
Two.
2
The PB2.
Yeah.
PB2 2. So let's look at our wiring diagram. Oh, good, we touched this board. That's right, this doesn't have the smart software installed on. Ding, that could be why. So open wire from PB1 2 to PB2 2. So PB1 2, we're open here to here. So basically, we're saying, so we're not feeding, we're feeding in and we're daisy chaining off that end, but we're not feeding out where we're daisy chaining off that out. That's what we're saying, right? So we're saying if this wire here, which is our out, PB22 to PB32, if we're not, we know we got it, we potentially might have it coming in, but if it doesn't come out, then we can't feed it over to our relay.
So it's going out
Okay.
through 6, 5, and 4.
All right, let's check that one then. Open wire from PB2 to PB32.
PB3 is working.
Well, but PB2 is not.
It didn't look
Yeah,
at.
sure is.
Yeah, but
They got you with the 2, determining 2.
So 2 is working out of 3, but we have an open wire between 2 and 3, which we can still be working, right? So pretty much the same criteria that applies to 1 applies to that second one there. So let's see if we're right. Are you sure? And open the wire from PB1.
Yeah, cause it's getting, PB2 would be getting power from,
That's right. Very good.
So it's just the second one and eliminate that one.
That's very true. So what it said is we couldn't be getting it to the second one. Yep, okay. So, what we determined is, it was from PB1, PB22 to PB32 that could be our problem. If we got it from PB12 to here, then we couldn't have it to there. So, but I tell you what, let's break out the meter and let's see if what we think, and I know it says we can sometimes troubleshoot without the meter, but I want us to see a visual of what is exactly happening. So we go to ground. Now we know that this wire gets energized when we press PB3, right? That works. So we know that this one should get energized.
It's not.
Well, it does, but it doesn't latch. So what is happening, at least from the way it looks, is we're getting a momentary 115 through the switch. So that tells me we're getting what we need on the input. We're just not feeding it out to the output, because the output is what ultimately latches us. So if we're getting it here, that means we're providing the connection for that 115 that it must exist here when we press the button. It comes here, but it never gets to over here to latch that circuit. So exactly what we just said, an open wire from PB22 to PB32. So if that's the case, we should be able to move this right here and not see that change. And how about that? We don't. So if these two were connected, that momentary action we're getting, and what you would really see in the real world, so I've just found one more fallacy with the thing, is you would see as long as you hold that button down, you'd see those lights come on. But when you let go of that button, game over. So we did find one fallacy with the thing.
Couldn't the switch still be bad though? I mean, if it's not going to stay engaged?
Well, the switch doesn't engage it. The fact that we provide 120 volts through this relay is what engages it. So this is our latch. If we took that out, we could still control this circuit, but we'd have to hold the buttons down.
When you press that, your relay is not getting any power.
Right.
So it's
That's
not
exactly
like-
what's happening. And in fact, it's not getting any power because it's not getting here. So if it's not getting here, then neither is it getting here. It is when we press PB3, but it's not.
Give me to your own.
So it's a wire from 2 to 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is it a wire going from PB2
Yeah.
to PB32?
1 is coming straight from your source on your.
Oh, yeah, never mind, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I did get confused there. So what was I trying to say?
I don't know.
I was trying to say pin 8. I was trying to go here.
Yeah.
Pin 6 is where I was trying to go. Yeah. Pin 6 becomes hot when we do turn it on, but it doesn't here. So it does look like we're getting close. We pulled the meter out to validate this was correct. So when analyzing the circuit, it's sometimes be difficult to follow the wiring. One technique that's held is to use the wiring diagram to redraw the schematic. For example, in the wire diagram, the problem there, the schematic has been revised to make it without routing. So what they did was that right there. So what we've got is we've got a daisy chain from PB22, 1, 2 to 2, 2 to 3, 2, up to PB6 and down to this other side. So even though it's exactly the same, I can visualize that as a wire a little more. So what's happening is, when we press PB1, 2, if this wire were open, PB2 would still work, but if this wire is open, both PB1 and PB2 would not work, but PB3 would, because we'd still be providing path over to here. So, there you go. You have identified and completed the following causes they are a wire from PB1 to PB22 to PB32 is open, or both switches are affected. So either we've got both of these open, or we've got this wire right here, which is more likely.
The wire.
I think that's what it's fixing to ask us. After identifying all possible causes, which of the following would you select as an obvious choice?
Wire from PB2 to PB.
Yep. Now that you have predicted the most probable location of the problem, you need to test that component. Make sure the circuit wiring diagram is available as you take each test, record the results. So let's go see what it suggests we do. You have determined the problem to be an open circuit. Which test instrument is the most appropriate choice to help you find the problem? Which one? Voltmeter. Let's see if you're right. You're correct. Locating an open circuit can most easily be done using a voltmeter and sectionalizing the circuit. Caution here is that the circuit is energized while you're testing. To determine the test points, you need to have the wiring diagram for the circuit available. Where is the best location for the first test? So let's bring up our wiring diagram. I'll close this guy. So it's asking us, should we be measuring PB1 to PB1 2, PB2 to ground, FU2 to ground, PB11 to ground, or the supply TB1? Where do we want to start?
PB2 to ground.
All right, let's start there. Oh, I'm trying to hello. That's how you tell you had a long day already. So PB2 to ground. All right, let's go back to our schematic. Even though we're using our wire diagram, go back to our schematic. And we're on PB2 to. When should we expect to see 115 volts there?
When PB2 is pushed.
When PB2 or PB1 or PB3 is pushed, right? Any of them. Let's start with 2. Now we see it for a moment, but it goes right away. We see it for a moment, but it goes right away. And
You're
you
not
don't see
gonna cross
it.
PB3.
And we're not going across. So what is that telling us? Let's see if we're right in the first place, yeah.
You got a breakdown between PB22 and PB32.
What test results would you expect that PB2, if the wire from PB2 to 32 is defective, and you were pressing PB1 or PB2? 115. So we do see it, like I say, momentarily, but it goes right away. From the top menu, open the meter and set the volts and connect it. Then connect the leads from ground, terminal PB2, and meter reads 115 volts. If you measure from ground terminal with the first push button pressed. So what does that test result indicate?
I think
PB2
you're
is
more
from
voltage.
PB3 is defective.
The wire from PB2 to, that's right. What would be your next test? Voltage from PB3 to ground, voltage from PB3 1 to ground, or voltage from PB2 to PB3 2, or no further testing is required. Let's see.
Wait, what did you say?
Or no further test.
No further test.
You already know that the circuit from PB32 is working properly since PB3 is working. The previous test showed the wire from PB22 to PB32 was receiving the proper voltage. Therefore, the wire must be open. So what it's saying is, if we reference ground again, and we know when we push PV1, we're getting 115 volts there, but we don't get it there, where's our problem? That wire. So no further tests are required. With the testing, determine the faulty. I like this. What would you do next?
Replace the wire.
Place the wire. Call the supervisor. Quit. So which we gonna do?
Replace the wire.
Replace the wire. Alright, let's see what it tells us. First, open and log out the splice. Get our wire wrench out. Move this guy.
You gotta have your screwdriver first.
Yeah, that's over. I gotta make sure I get the wire, so it's the bottom one, right?
It highlights the whole work.
PV22 to PV32 in place. And
the other one.
reconnect the other wire. Go. Almost to it. After you replace the wire, what should you do?
Just all the push button.
Alright. Test all of this. Yep. So we're gonna remove our lock. Turn our meter off. We'll try it on, off, on, off, on, off. Does it work properly?
Yes.
Okay. How you make out the bill? Refer to the indicators at the top left portion, and then you check the time. So we spent 53 minutes troubleshooting. We spent $2.95. So your bill would be, they gotta have some markup on that wire, so it'd be $29.95 for the wire and $100 for the call, right?
Well, I was thinking $5 for the wire, $120 for the call.
Okay,
Either way, it
well,
would be
whatever.
the same thing.
Okay, we're done. All right, don't overlook the obvious. Here we go. I forgot to tell you, you got an observe on this thing. And you can actually click the observe.
Will that thing tell you if you got a burnt spot in the back of the
It ought to, that. All right, so what do we want to do now?
Check it.
Try it. Oh, that off works. That on works. That off works. That on works. That off works.
So it's something in between LT1L and
So, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a 10-minute break. We'll be back at 10 o'clock. Marinate over this a little bit. We're going to go left side against the right side. And I want y'all to get together. And each of you tell me what your troubleshooting steps will be collectively. Y'all come up with one next step for this after we get back to break. I'll give you some time when we get back.